Okay, I'm ready.
Great. Hi Chris, thank you so much for being with us today at the Creative Lounge. I'm super excited to have you over and I can't wait to learn more about you and your lifestyle. So let's crack on by telling us 3 things that we should know about you.
All right, first off, thank you for having me. It's pretty cool to be doing this, so I'm really appreciative of it. 3 things. I'm a father, first and foremost. I got 2 kids that I have that are absolutely fantastic, and it's really formed my life. I'm from Colorado. I grew up here, never really got away, never needed to. There's a whole lot of Colorado to be lived. And the third thing is I'm kind of a deep thinker sometimes, and I think we'll get into that a little bit in this interview, but it's good to kind of throw that out there initially.
Okay, first things first. On your Instagram account, it says that you're taking a midlife walkabout in a Vanderbilt. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, I kind of just fell into it. I bought a van 2 years ago and built it out. I was watching people on YouTube and I was like, that looks really exciting. So I bought a van. I was really ambivalent about the choice. It took me 7 months to build out. I watched a lot of, again, YouTube to figure out how to do it. And I'm pretty handy, so I managed to do it. And I built it out, and it's not super elegant, but it works for a good week and a half at a time before I have to kind of like redo some stuff. And it's been a fantastic voyage. I've put 20 some odd thousand miles on it the last few months. I've been driving all over the place. I've been to California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico. I mean, the Southwest multiple times over and over. And every time I go, I find something new and different. You know, it's got everything you need to live out of it, and it just works. It's comfy, so it's like a cave.
I can imagine that must have been like an amazing experience. And why did you decide exactly on the van? I mean, like I guess you can rent a car and just, or like, yeah, obviously you have a car, just travel and then stop over some places. But why did you decide on the van?
The van has this capability to go wherever you want, and you don't have to stay in a hotel. Cars are small. The van's got a bed, and it's got a big bed, and it's got a lot of storage capability. I've got my bikes in there. And you can go anywhere you want basically and stay. And you can go in the cities and stay in, parking lots, which I've done a few times, which isn't the most fun, but you can get out in the desert where there's no hotels, and you can get out and see the stars at night, and it's an amazing experience altogether. Like, it's awesome.
I should definitely try that, and I think we all should. And with that in mind, I wanted to ask you, how long are your van trips usually? A few days, weeks, months, and how often?
So I go every other week right now. I'm taking a little bit break before I start back up, and I'm gonna go to the Pacific Northwest over the summertime. But I go every other week. It's a week at a time, and I can get, about 1,200 miles away and in 2 days, a day and a half of driving. And then I just kind of hang out and go see national parks. And I do a lot of hiking and I take a lot of pictures. And it's just, it's an experience that I think everybody should try. It forces you to kind of think about a lot of things differently.
Fair enough. And with that, I'm interested to find out whether it was your passion for photography that sort of drove you to go on those trips, take those photos, or was it the other way around where you just found yourself in those amazing magical places and you just wanted to take out your phone or camera and start taking pictures?
So I actually built the van for me and my girlfriend at the time to go explore. And I ride my bike a lot, my mountain bike, and I wanted to go to a bunch of different places that I've never been. And that was kind of the main purpose, was to kind of fall back in love with biking. And what happened was I started hiking, and I found myself in these places that I couldn't comprehend. Like, words can't do it justice. And I told myself, like, I need to get a camera and capture this stuff, because I'm gonna forget it eventually, and I don't want to do that. So that's when the photography began. It's only been a few months. I got one of my friends encouraged me to buy a camera, and I did. And it's become kind of a passion. There's a lot of emotion that comes out of those pictures, for me at least, and hopefully others. But it's it came out of traveling instead of a purpose for it.
I think that's also the beauty of it. And with those photos of yours, yes, you said that they mean a lot to you, and I've noticed in almost every photo of yours that you're posting on Instagram, there are either quotes or there are things that you want to share with the world, and I think it's a very beautiful way to share your thoughts. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so there's a lot of times where, you know, there's things in life that occur, like with friends or personally, that you know, I can kind of comment on. I try not to bring people into it, but you know, there's things in life that kind of call out, and every now and then there's a picture in there that I can kind of associate with it and throw some words together, you know, to help inspire and encourage other people, and hopefully that hits right on other people. But you know, that's what I try to do. It's a positive thing for me to be able to grab, you know, somebody else's attention and hopefully encourage them and inspire them.
And do you think a lot of those thoughts that you want to share are more or less prompted by the scenery in front of you, the situation that you are in?
Yeah, there's always a back story to my stories. Whether or not I'm hanging out with a friend in the middle of Utah, and you'll see some of that in my Instagram, and just kind of documenting kind of her life story. Or, you know, there's parts of me in there too that just, you know, the vastness of just being alone a lot is kind of interesting and different. You know, being out in the desert alone at night, in the middle of the night, there's not many experiences like that where you're just alone, and that's really cool.
Have you ever had a moment of epiphany while gazing at the stars?
You know, there's so many of them, and it's hard to just pick one, but like there was one time when I was out in this place, it's called Bisty, and there's a bunch of pictures. It's like a Badlands area in New Mexico. And there was a time where I was out there, and there's no cell service, there's no cars, there's nothing. And there's a time out there where I just had to take a picture, and it was like a time lapse, a 30-minute picture. And there's nowhere to sit, everything's really uncomfortable. And but you find a place and you just sit. And what's really cool is like you watch the stars move. You can literally watch a star come up over the horizon. And it just gives you, it kind of puts you into perspective of how, kind of how small we as humans actually are, and how you should kind of take life and not live it so heavy, and just enjoy what you can. So the stars are amazing. They're quite amazing.
Yeah, and I've seen they're quite predominant on your Instagram profile. And I wanted to know, do you edit your photos or you just upload them raw as they are, especially the ones with the stars?
So with the camera's very sensitive, so it can pick up a lot of light. So at night, like, it sees a lot more than you can. But that being said, I use Lightroom a lot. I take a lot of liberties and the tools that you can use. And I try to bring out as much art as I can in the photos. I'm not a technical photographer. I don't know a whole lot about photography, but what I do know is that a good photo tells a good story, and it wants to pull you in. And that's kind of what I concentrate on.
Speaking of a good photo tells a good story, do you have a particular photo on your Instagram profile that you quite like and you believe that it tells a story, or at least that speaks to you?
There's a couple, but there's one that's in Devil's Garden. It's in Escalante, Utah. It's kind of in the south, kind of middle of Utah, and it's down this dirt road, and it's this place of probably maybe about 50 or 80 hoodoos, and the hoodoos are big and they're rocky, and they're not like fragile hoodoos. And there's an arch and the sunset in the background, And that one is really, that one really touches me because it was a good time in my life. And, you know, it pulls a lot of emotion out of me. It's a beautiful picture of a sunset, and it's just, you know, there's a lot of backdrop to that photo for me.
What's the most important thing before you go on that trip with a van, for example, besides having a nice van that can support that trip? But what would be one advice that you would like to give anyone who wants to do this?
I would say keep an open mind. There's a lot of different things out there, and when you're closed-minded, you don't appreciate it. And when you open your mind, there's a lot to see and a lot to learn about different people and different cultures and different areas of even the United States and definitely internationally. There's just a lot to learn and to really immerse yourself in the process.
Speaking about being open-minded, have you ever been in a situation where you have decided to go to place A, for example, you've already like planned your whole trip, and then something happens and on the moment you have to come up with a new plan or try something else?
So when I started this whole thing, I didn't know where I was going. So I'd literally pull out of my driveway and I have maybe 2 or 3 ideas, but I wouldn't have plans. And that's what's nice about the van, is that you can kind of adjust and flip where you want to go. So if there's bad weather or something coming in, I might drive a few hundred miles out of the way just to enjoy, you know, another day in the sun. So there are those times where you do have to adjust, and having a van and not having a hotel is really beneficial to your experience of your time in nature.
Yeah, that's something that I didn't even think about. But yeah, I mean, obviously when you consider weather and being in a van, you can just stop anywhere you want, whenever you want. So yeah, definitely sounds like a huge advantage. And what about any interesting story that happened to you while you were traveling?
There certainly are. And a lot of them, for me at least, come from experiences that I wasn't expecting to find myself in. So there's a slot canyon in Utah. It's called Peekaboo. Not a terrible slot canyon. It's pretty. It's just beautiful. But I didn't really read the directions, and I didn't know I was supposed to drop in on a slot canyon on the backside. And I was just following the cairns, and I found myself in a situation where I had to drop down a rope, and I was not a climber in elementary school. I could never reach the top of the rope. So I was kind of freaked out, but I figured I'd go for it. And then I was in there, and there was no getting out for me. And then I kept going, and it kept getting more narrow and more narrow and more narrow, to the point where, I'm a big guy, I got a big chest, to the point where there's a slot, there's a part of it, and it just kept getting more narrow as time went on. But this part specifically, I couldn't move more than an inch at a time, and you can't take a breath. It compresses your body. So as time went on, it was narrower and narrower and narrower, and I didn't know if I was going to get stuck. I eventually made it out. I was all alone. There's nobody else there. I eventually made it out, and I was so happy, and I was so afraid. I've never been claustrophobic before in my life, and that was it. And I was shocked, and I was amazed, and I was happy, and I was fearful all at the same time. It's things like that it's like the human spirit. It brings all the emotions to the table, and things like that happen. So, I'm appreciative of it.
How did you get out of it?
So it just kept getting more narrow and more narrow. And eventually I found myself crawling on the ground to get through some stuff. And then a few minutes later, it opened up, and I was absolutely elated. And there's some stuff on my Instagram about it. And, I told myself I was never gonna do it again. And then I was walking back to the car, and I was like, oh, there's another slot canyon. So I jumped in, and it just, it's experience, and I can't explain how crazy some things have been out on the road. Yeah, it's been fun.
Besides your kids, your family, is traveling the thing that really brings you most pleasure than anything else?
Yeah, I think it might not be the traveling, but more of the experience of different things. And traveling provides that. So it's the excitement of something new, something I've never done before, something I've never seen before. All of those things really intrigue me. They make me think a lot about just life in general and how to live it. And so that's kind of where I try to come out and try to push myself to find those places.
Okay, and last question from my side. What is one piece of advice or a thing that everyone watching you right now should remember?
Authenticity. It's important, and a lot of times, like I was just previously saying, like a lot of times in life, your soul kind of gets drowned out by just the things that you have to do every day, and you lose inspiration. And when you find that you're kind of yearning for more, be authentic and take advantage of what you can and do what you can, because it'll make you happier in the end.
Okay guys, that was everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Chris. I know I did for sure. And don't forget to check out his Instagram account, link in the description below. From me, Stefan Dimov, I'll see you next time.